So, oh, it seems like, okay, there we go. We're starting over again, a new one. I am going to try and keep these down to about 10 minutes because that seems to be about what people want to listen to. They don't want them to uh, listen more than that. Moja Kraleva. Um, so, what I was saying before is that with working with music, I've been working as a solo artist and in a band since I was 13. 13, I was invited to my first band by the first person that actually gave me a guitar, which was Travis Lout. And he was such a cool guy. Then went to my next band, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, I'm down in Shreveport again from Michigan. And some friends of mine wanted to get a band going. Well, I want to get a band going, and I ran into some old friends that I hadn't seen in a while, and we hit things off. Like as soon as we started writing, everything kind of clicked and worked very well together. So we just kept jamming, and we found another friend of ours that was a drummer, and he played with us for a while. And we got another guitarist, and now this whole time I was recording on tape, 8-track tape. And eventually I needed a better amp simulator because I was using a very, very, very bad Zoom 505. I mean, it did its job, and with undistorted sounds, it sounded really good. For clean sounds, it sounded very, very pristine and dreamy, very shimmery, and had a very, very nice sound. But when distortions kicked in, it was very fizzy and it sounded very digital. So I needed something that was a bit better. And what I ended up doing was going with a GNX Digitech GNX1. Um, it's like the floor model of the Genesis, and it had like these amp models and warping, and it sounded really, really good. And I dug it, and it was fun to make new amps and stuff that had never been heard of. Like you could mix a Marshall and a Mesa to make a new sound that no one's ever heard before. And they sounded pretty genuine, like actual. It may not sound like a real amp that's actually out there, but it sounds like a real amp. It sounded more like a real amp. I still didn't know much about dialing tones. Matter of fact, to be completely honest, I only learned how to truly dial in a good tone 3, 4 weeks ago, if even that. I mean, that far back. Um, I always started with all my, your dials go from 0 to 10. So I started everything at neutral at 5. And then I would add in whatever. No, you're supposed to zero out everything, dial in the amount of gain you need, and then bring the treble in until you get all the treble you need. Then you bring the mid in to get the mid, and then you bring the bass in. And you get it actually, especially once you know how the instruments play together, you get a better idea of the actual tone of the amp, the speakers, the sculpting of the sound to the song you're working in. It's pretty amazing. Um, One of the things I've learned about music is that, okay, so for those who don't know about guitar, so you got the string is working on vibration. The vibration echoes inside this chamber, this hole that echoes inside the body that resonates and projects sound out. Okay. Now you've probably seen people going up and down the strings, and you may not have known what that's about. Okay, each one of these is a fret. Now this is an actual what they call it, and in our terms when we're playing, this is an actual fret. This would be if you're talking about you want a jumbo fret or whatever, that would be a fret. This would be a fret marker, that dot there, and this would be the 12th string. It's the 12th string because that's the octave. Okay, so you have that. See the same note? Octave up. Okay, so then I keep this one tuned to a chord. It's a little bit out of tune, but so if I get melody in my head, somebody's going away. No wanna do is going home today. See, I can find it very quickly, and then I can I know this is in D. and so I can translate that to another guitar. If I need to transpose it up, I like the chord structure. I can keep that in drop D on my other guitar. I can um, you know what I mean, and transpose it anyway. So, um, but yeah, um, that was the next thing I was going to say is that what I found a while back, it seems to be that style. You ever recognize like Eddie Van Halen's playing, Slash is guitaring, um, a singer singing, any of those things? Well, there's the timbre of the sound that they choose, which is like what's pleasing to their ears as far as what's a good sound. And quite often, we find it appealing too if they've made it to a place like Nuno Betancourt or Slash or any of those big, Satriani, any of those people. But what I found is that style is as much of what you play, but it's more of resolutions. Now, I came to this conclusion probably back in college, maybe a little bit later than that. That was like 19, 20, and I'm like 48. And it always felt it felt right, but it felt incomplete as far as theory. And then I finally completed it, and I was like, okay, I know why it sounds wrong because it is about resolutions, but it's about resolutions of conflicts within the music. So you have all those sound in key and they sound right to make a chord. They're a little bit out of tune, but you just know. But even that right there, put intention in there. You hear that? No. Almost no. Resolved. Their style. That's what completed the whole idea. I thought like resolving when, you know what I mean, how you end oh yeah, that's definitely a so and so lick, definitely a BB King lick. That's how he resolves his solos. But something just didn't feel right about that. Like there's more to Stevie Ray Vaughan than just the way he finishes solos, and that's when I started realizing, like I said, there's like, how would you resolve that? That's easy, but if you're more complex, you might go. It starts taking on that Tool kind of feel, a style. But if you were to go, uh, see how it resolves that tension. There's some that agree, there's some that disagree, and the natural resolution. But if you say, see, Now there's a fuck. I've already gone over 10 minutes. There's a fuck. We're doing 220 minutes. There's nothing new has been done under the sun. That's 100% true. But now by tuning this guitar to this, now a normal E chord sounds like this. A normal C chord sounds like this. All right, so that was a revelation I learned about mixing and mastering. Not mixing, mastering. Sorry, about making music and what music is and how to build it and how to construct it. The other revelation I had was about compression, and I've played with compressors for a long time. If you don't understand what compression is, there have you seen a waveform for music for like at Spotify and whatever, and it shows the waveform? Okay, a compressor makes sure that that waveform doesn't get too loud, and also make sure it doesn't get too quiet. In short, people that understand compression is like it's a bit more than, yeah, of course, but we're just going over a brief kind of thing. Hello to whoever's tuned in. I don't know who's tuned in, but hello. Or depending where you are, Debroye, Utra, perhaps, or Buenos noches, or Sabroye, Sabroine noche, depending on what time it is. Buenos noches. Buenos dias. Hello, whoever's out there. So compression. I've never really truly understood it. Oh, hey, Alexa Weber Morales. Hey there, musician, and I agree with your channel name. Thank you. Oh yeah, I try to do everything as inexpensively as possible. I try to keep things in a budget sense. Um, I used to have a lot of reviews up about inexpensive gear from like Behringer and Samson, and my own guitars. I have custom guitars that I make. There's might be some reviews up about this, but my Equinox instruments, I have them custom made overseas in China. I had to give up that company when COVID hit because there's a very obvious problem with the supply chain. So I had to shut Equinox down, much to my chagrin. I am getting one or two more instruments. I'm working with a guy, Mike Nova, and he is incredible. It's just incredible guitarist. If you see any of my music on there, like Believe is on my channel, Into Deep, several ones. If this is labeled as Troth or if it says Mike Nova, he's the guitarist on there. He kills. He is so good. Did you think about doing stuff like that, but for microphones? Okay, singer pianist. Do you have a like a preference of genres or anything like that for music? And I get it probably take a little while to respond, so I'll just keep on rambling on with my stupidity like I usually do. And what kind of piano do you play? I've got a MIDI keyboard. It's a Fatar 610 jazz salsa. Okay. Do you share anything on here that I can check out? I always like finding new music. But so as far as compression goes, I always understood like, okay, the threshold is how far above, once the volume passes above that, how and then the ratio is how much once it crosses over, like the sound's coming up like this, how much does it, once the threshold, that this is the ratio. So like this would be like 2 to 1, like a 4 to 1, and then this would be like probably like an 8 to 1, and then like 10 to 1 or infinity is like brick wall. So any sound that hits it just cannot go past it. But it reduces the sound so that way it kind of you don't want it to like pump and squash. Sometimes you do, like with a kick drum and stuff. Sometimes you want that to happen, and that's actually what taught me how to actually dial. I've been working with like mostly presets, and I didn't know how to actually dial in um, a good compression. And just having that, I had a kick drum. It's just a MIDI 1, 2, 3, 4, and I had it on loop. Dun, 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 dun. And I could actually listen to what was going on. I was able to put in gain reduction and then makeup. But as far as like affecting when to apply, how much, the ratio, how much attack, and I didn't get that. And it's been years and I just didn't get it. And just listened to it over and over. And like I dialed in the attack, and all of a sudden it's like and then I slowed the attack, and it's like, I'm like, oh, I get it. Attack, how fast it attacks a sound, how much it lets through. And then the release, of course, is like you could set it to be, do you want to go, or do you want to go, you want that, that the decay, but you don't want it to just keep going. And yeah, once I got that, man, it really made a lot of sense to me. And so our mixes that I'm doing with Mike Nova with our band Troth are really going up. The quality is really going up really good. And this time around, we have some stuff on. Oh, I'm glad it helped. I mean, I have like a lot of EQ tips and stuff like that, and EQ primers, reverb primers. Um, I'd be happy to do some things like if people were watching. I wanted to do a whole setup where I start from the beginning of a mix and record it, and it's already recorded, and just show how I go through the process. It's just my process of cheap things, and I have inexpensive like paid plugins like through Plugin Alliance. They have a $15 a month, and you get like over like 100 plugins. Oh, that's cool. I guess I'll check your page and see if you have anything up for whatever. But I'm on Bandcamp because I'm, like I said, I'm signed out of Boston with Blue Effects Records. So I have 3 albums with them, and then I have 6 albums that I have on SoundClick.com, and they're free. Those are all free. Oh, I put like name your price. I don't care. I mean, they're so old. I'd rather have an audience than anything else. And even with the only reason I'm charging for the ones with Blue Effects is because I mean the owner invested money in me, and so I feel like I got to pay him back the money he invested. Once that's over, I don't care if I make any money. I've got a book that's I wrote a novel, and then I turned the map into yes, you can follow along with the story. I did the audiobook, and you can follow on the story, and that's free also. It's like a 10-hour novel, and I broke it into 5 parts, and it's got chapters in the video. But you can actually follow along with the map that I drew, and you can follow what the adventures are doing. And I like it. My upcoming books, I think, are going to be are going to be a lot better. But um, it was so fun. It was so fun doing it, especially like the voices and stuff. Like they don't kick in until 'cause I have a background in audio. So there's like a little mage guy, and he's like, he's really creepy. And well, thank you, I appreciate that. Um, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, I've always been into Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones type things. And this one's called The Robber and the Thief. And there's part 1 through 5. There's a playlist, and you can just hit play and let it go. Let my voice bore you to death to tears and go to sleep. Yeah. I do have a basic kind of voice. It might be kind of soothing, just like, like I said, around part 3 is when like the voices start getting kind of really cool. I use a lot of like more effects around then. and it's just fun. What was your first music insight? Like, what was my first musical experience? My dad really, really liked loud music. I mentioned in the vid. Okay. I don't, I That's why I'd be cool to actually have a chat. Oh, two insights about music. So there was the tension in the release. I don't know if you saw that. The tension release between the notes. That was the first one. And the second one was about the compression and how to get well, it kind of compression bleeds into the fact that it really doesn't matter. A lot of people try and get like the best microphone, the best, guitar, the best, but it's not about the best. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, there's a part at the beginning where I was talking about the relationship between notes. My idea was that I can go through it really quickly. Is that basically when I was in college studying music in like '95, I was probably like 18 or so. Um, you can recognize a Slash solo or you can recognize different players, guitar riffs, Jerry Cantrell, different people you recognize them immediately, whoever your favorite people are. Like, oh, that's definitely so and so singing, and I was like, it seems to be about their resolutions, but that idea never really it felt right, but it didn't feel complete. And so, like, I mean, you can tell a lot of times, especially like with Perry Farrell, the way he sings, the way different people sing, the way different people play guitar and stuff, you can just tell it's them. The second they start hitting a note or with like Jimi Hendrix, you know. Um, and I was trying to figure out what actually causes that. And the resolution idea, I was like, but Stevie Ray Vaughan and all these people, they're more than just the way they resolve a note at the end of like a solo or something. And here recently, it dawned on me that it's not just that. It's also okay. So this one I keep tuned to, as I said earlier, to a D chord. It's out of tune right now. But I can use this to find my. So if I have a melody in my head, and she's going away tomorrow, this- I call it my melody maker. I can find all those weird quickly. And then I can transpose that to one of my other guitars, drop D, or at least I know the notes. I know it goes D, and then it goes G, F. You know what I mean? And then there's E, and then A. Yeah, I can find it real quickly. But the epiphany that I had about style was that okay, so it's not just how I go and end it. It's also once I introduce tension, how do I resolve that tension? It's really quick and easy to resolve it back down. A more complicated would be, but it resolves the tension. And even more advanced with, and the more complicated you get, or more how the notes you choose to resolve that tension, because you have the notes that agree. There's not really an intention, but when you have that, it can be fun to play with those. I also like tuning the guitar to a different chord because when you use regular chord structures, like you get, and so if I use an E chord, it should sound, really bad, but for some reason, And then you have and then the C chord has a very dissonant. Going on tomorrow when the sun don't shine on for me. So yeah, that was that about that. So I don't know if that's any good idea. I think it made a lot of sense to me. I don't know if it does or not. I mean, I like to think it's a good idea. It's a good theory. Ways to resolve that tension that appeal. Right, right. Others want right. And the more complicated you get, the more you are to alienating your um, audience. The more complex it gets, it starts getting to progressive type music like Rush. You're into jazz and salsa, so you get it. But that starts to pushing people away. It gets too complicated and too cerebral. Whereas if it gets too simple, it also starts to alienate people because it's just too easy. Um, the Ramones, they stripped music down very much to like 3, 4 chords and a very catchy melody, but some of the aesthetic didn't appeal to a lot of people. While the um, because there was another, more of a violent kind of a punk scene going on in Britain. But then from that started to build people started rebuilding music, if you will, until you get to a point where you have like the 90s type music with Nirvana, where they keep it very, very simple. And yet there is some dissonance, like About a Girl. I love the break where he's, I that's not right. I need an easy friend until within into them. You take advantage, right? You hang me out to dry. I can see you every night for free. Yeah, so I mean, that's again going to what I was talking about the resolving. Kurt, if you even just watch the way he moves when he's playing, he has like a very do 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 do, and you can see him as he's playing. He doesn't do like most people, just kind of just bob, and he kind of does a to the music. I mean, it's very weird. He whatever the music do 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 do, and Kristen Novoselic over there just. I always loved watching the guys from the '90s play. It was so fun because you could tell they were just having so much fun. Like there's that one scene from Chris Cornell performing Slaves and Bulldozers, and it gets to the part, and he's just screaming, "How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow?" They just didn't care. And I mean, I really carried that with me from the '90s. But yeah, that's kind of my thing. But I don't want to bore people. I'm trying to keep these around like 10 minutes. So as we're hitting 30 minutes, I'm just so long winded. I just, I talk so much. That's why I do this. I don't expect anybody to tune in. I just barking stuff out. I think one of my longest ones is like about 2 hours. Glad you like it. I'm going to probably start doing more of these just because, like I said, I've got extra time on my hands now. And I just feel like venting a lot of stuff. I got some music viewpoints. I've got some political viewpoints and whatever. Mainly because like a lot of the problems that we have are mainly due because no one will look at the problem. It's like trying to clean up dog poop behind you. No, he didn't do it. I mean, he did it, but and I have to clean it up, but I'm not going to look at it because that's gross. Is it? Check your fingers. That's gross. Okay, dude. If you just turned and looked at it, you could have got a napkin and picked it up. Now you got poo poo fingers. That ain't on me. That's on you. But yeah, I mean, if you don't understand a problem, how are you supposed to fix it? It's like, trying to solve math when you haven't figured out that one plus one. It's okay. So what's eight plus eight? And it's very simple for you. I've never done this. So, but yeah, I don't know. I can keep ranting and raving. Trust me, for so long it'll drive people crazy. Um, yeah, but I guess if I hand it out in nuggets, maybe people will actually start tuning in because my 2 hour ones, no one sticks around for that. They probably see the 2 hours. Oh, fuck that. 20 minutes. Yeah, let's see what he's got to say. But anyways, yeah, I might just keep on chopping these up until I did one before. Peace out. I'll check out your stuff if you can, if you got any up. So have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. Live without an audience is no fun. I'm about to head out anyways, so actually I'm gonna at least end this one and start another one. And just keep on going like all day in these little 10-minute segments. Enjoy your cake.